a choice to make, a little mockery it won't do. Further down the line, still surrendering, trying harder to forgive you. Candlelight has gone out. Some will win and some will lose. Nothing much else to say. Thought I was searching for something. Door has closed, not a sound. Take a look as I am now. Still I smile but don't speak. Will you please slow down? Slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down.
Seeing monsters out your window. No, you can't sleep, you pretend though. You don't have to play the hero. 'Cause I got you like you got me. When the earth shakes, when the bombs scream, until our last breath, every heartbeat. You know I'll come running. You go to war, then I'm going with you. Pick up my sword, yeah, there's nothing I won't do. When you sound the alarm and the chaos is rising, leading the charge, yeah, I'm coming, I'm fighting. Swear on the breath that I breathe, I'll never retreat, yeah, I'll be your army. When your nightmares turn to real life and the ground's filled up with landmines, we will face it, standing side by side. You know I'll come running when you need. I'm coming. You know I'll come running. You go to war, then I'm going with you. Pick up my sword, yeah, there's nothing I won't do. When you sound the alarm and the chaos is rising, leading the charge, yeah, I'm coming, I'm fighting. Swear on the breath that I breathe, I'll never retreat, yeah, I'll be your army. You go to war, then I'm going with you. Pick up my sword, yeah, there's nothing I won't do. When you sound the alarms and the chaos is rising, leading the charge, I'm coming, I'm fighting. Swear on the breath that I breathe, I'll never retreat, yeah, I'll be Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I've decided to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. And so I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie. Life kept spitting at my feet and forced me down a dead-end street, when all I had went up in flames, burning only dark remains. I cover up every part of my skin, oh, 'cause I don't like the person within. Oh, I know I'm the one to blame. All I can do is take the shame. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm too sad to say I'm sorry, so lie and pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. Whoa, I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I can't.
I think we're good to go. Right. I think we have sound coming through. We'll just show up the stream there just so we can hear it. Yeah, we're all good to go. Sound's coming through. This is recording. This will all be posted up later anyway. So, yeah. Right, so we'll start. We kick things off. Bitcoin, right? So, Bitcoin has been quite the rocky, it's been quite a rocky week. Well, say, period in the last, say, 2 weeks for Bitcoin. This is the 4 hour. So, we dipped 25th of March, right down the end of the dip. We're pulling right back up out of it now. I'm watching for this retest. We're meeting a lot of resistance just in this area here. I have a lot of positions on Bitcoin at this point in time, and I'm kind of sitting a little bit not too happy with the current the way Bitcoin is presenting itself. This is all forex stuff, so we'll move that off the chart. So we can see here we're meeting a level of previous resistance, right? So we have resistance coming in this zone, right? And we need to watch out for this, because if we're meeting resistance in this location, it's not good, because we could be seeing a potential double top pattern. And my camera's quite high actually, so we'll just tip that down just a small bit, just make sure that that's much more centered now. So let's bring this back up. Yeah, perfect. So what we're looking at here now is we're seeing this zone of resistance starting to get the retest, right? So, and if we meet the retest, right, when we get something like a chart and we see a double top, right? And a double top is what we're starting to see here, right? We're seeing a double top starting to form which basically means price comes to a level, price dips down, price comes back up and touches that same level again, and it's more likely that it will actually retrace and come back down here. We could see this happen, so just retest this kind of level, which comes from previous resistance, support. Didn't really act as support, so that's not actually a great level, but it's more kind of in this area here where this is a bit of a messy chart at the moment actually. So what we could is those were previous, but we're looking for more recent levels, right? So what we're seeing is a nice bit of rectangle. So we're seeing a nice bit of support being found in this zone here, right? So the price did bust down through it, but it did kind of struggle to get through it for this span of say 12-16 hours in this range here. So it did struggle to break through that ceiling, but see, it was coming down. Look, we're finding loads of support off it in different places. We blew up through it. Well, we didn't blow up through. We did find a little bit of resistance at the level, but it came up through, retested, and blew back up to the upside. If we knock it back to the hourly chart, we'll see a lot more of a noisy chart kind of price pattern. So what we are hoping doesn't happen is this return down to the downside. And in 2 weeks ago, I made a call that we could be seeing 75 to 100k on Bitcoin. So this is the all-time high. We got up to 61,718.83, which was, that happened. It was around then when we made the call for, but it was before that we made the call for the 70k or 75k, but we were talking about 100k's up around this area and whatever. But since then we've been a little bit more bearish on Bitcoin. So if we just get the trend line, if you saw the video on trend identification, we just know we take for a downtrend, we take it off the highs, so we do have something up there. But so it's kind of like you can kind of do a best fit kind of line, or you can go off of these highs here, which are the highs that you pick a point and then you take the highest highs off of that, and you can plot a trend off of that. But that's in this situation, that's not a more, we could plot them off of this point here, this point here, this point. But I think maybe something in the region of this might be a decent price or a downtrend kind of identification line. We will remove the drawings off this just to clean it up a little bit, because it does look a little bit messy at the moment. So right, we'll do from square one price. So we'll do a technical analysis on the Bitcoin chart from scratch. I haven't reset this chart in a good long while, so might be good to do, right? So I start off my technical analysis on the daily chart. Always start on the daily chart, right? I day trade, so daily chart would be the time frame I'd be working off. Swing traders might knock it up to a weekly chart, so this is price action in over a weekly period. So there's 2020, boom 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 boom. Here's where I kind of started my loadings of Bitcoin, and obviously from there it has soared to the upside. So we knock it back to the day 12 hour is my kind of ballpark for technical analysis, the broad technical analysis. So what we see here is key levels, right? Mark the key levels, right? These are 2021 levels, right? The key levels, we'll just mark them in, the lows and the highs, right? And then we can refine it. See, this one kind of created a bit of a zone of resistance, came support and whatever, right? So we actually have these highs up here as well. So this is a decent price action kind of. This is where you can start your technical analysis. This can look very cluttered for the untrained eye, but to me, I can see exactly what I'm looking at here is making sense in my head. So if we zoom out, these levels down here really don't make a difference, right? But the fact that Bitcoin hasn't had a huge amount of, we're not looking at years of this kind of price movement. Like if you open the euro dollar chart, you'd be looking at loads and loads of ups and downs, going up to 1.23, coming back down to 1.16, and loads of fluctuation throughout the years. But we're looking at a daily chart of, there's 2020, so all the way to the end of 2020, start to 2021, a lot of people started loading up here in the tail end of 2020. I kind of after my birthday, I kind of loaded up. You can see it as I bought myself a little birthday present, and I've loading up then. Fundamental analysis, technical analysis was strong in that at that time. So That's why I loaded up. And in recent times, I loaded up a good bit down around here in this dip, the late February, early March dip, and sure, like we're blowing up, like we blew up, made new highs. That was the previous highs that, you know, the Bitcoin getting close to 60k highs. And, you know, Bitcoin has been a phenomenal year for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has never seen these levels. The likes of Tesla accepting payment in Bitcoin. So like a Tesla Model X costing 1.5 Bitcoin, and, you know, they'll be, when you go to the Tesla website, you'll be looking at, people always say, oh, it's Tesla, but I say Tesla, just language, local, colloquial speak. So loads of things like that influence the charts. And when we take fundamental analysis, here's the thing to understand. If you are skeptical that there's anything happening behind the scenes that's causing price to move that you're not aware of, right? That is illegal. They cannot make moves internally in the company without making it public knowledge. They can pull a kind of a fast one where they say, yeah, we put it out as public knowledge, but they didn't really, it was made public, but it wasn't publicized. It wasn't spread to the world. So there wasn't, like, everyone wasn't writing news articles about it. When you read a news article, it's usually too late for something. In more of a long-term situation, you mightn't get the best entry, but it could be a thing for, like me telling you 3 weeks ago, jet lines and the likes of that in terms of stocks might be a good thing to start picking up. COVID passports, all that kind of stuff. We see that evident now that airlines and the likes, they're starting to pick up. They're starting to get more volume back in. So when you see more volume coming in, you're going to see more price movement, more greater price movements. Doesn't necessarily mean bullish price movements. You can see a lot of bears coming into the markets. Look at the insider. So if we go over onto Finviz, I love Finviz, especially for, well, it is a stock visualization. It's financial visualizations, but in here we can go and see insider up here, right? This is where all the CEOs closing positions, opening new positions inside in the company, the different shareholders doing things. So we can see 25th of March, Sean Tully of the CME group, right? He's the relationship with the company. He's a senior marketing director of the global HD Financial and OT, whatever that means. Transaction. So option exercise is the type of transaction. So you can see sells, exercising options, as I said. The cost of per share is the simplest way of thinking of it. The amount of shares, the value, the total value, and then the shares total. So you can go in and you can look up, you can check everything he's done over the last, say this is in the last 6 months odd, or not even 6 months, last, say 4 or 5 months ish. So you can see he's sold off a lot and he's starting to pick up different things. He's not a great example. Now you can see when CEOs resign, and you can see CEOs unloading an unmerciful amount of shares. See this, look, the owner, so Gary D. Burnison, the CEO of KFY, so Corn Ferry Staffing and Employment Services, right? Gary D. Burnison, the CEO, sold 38,422 shares at 61.68 a piece to the value of 2.3712 million, right? So if we go in and we have a look at that company and we look at the market cap of that company, right? The market capitalization here, so 3.29 billion. So it's not a huge company. It's quite a substantial company, but we can see here the shares, the shares float, right? There's 53 million shares in the public, right? In public. So there's 53 million shares. Those are the float is the shares available in the secondary market, right? So when we have when a company starts up, right, it can be hard for the company to start to really flourish and to start developing big time. And when the company is private, right, in the first stage, right, the primary market, right, it's exposed to the primary market. Those are big institutions, professional investors it depends from country to country, what defines a professional investor. Some places might require you to have an income of 250,000 a year minimum. You might have to have at least a certain amount in either assets, or say it could be $3 million or whatever in assets, and various other things. And you need a certain amount of experience, and all this stuff can define you as a professional investor. The private companies, that stuff is exposed. The private investors and the big institutions, they have access to the primary market. Then a company can go through a thing called an IPO, and it's the initial public offering, IPO. And it's basically loads and loads of these people come together and they all fund. So they put up a certain amount of the shares to private investors at a certain cost to fill a certain amount, so they can actually take that money and develop the company further, right? So then when the IPO stage is over, the company is now public, and us traders can go in onto our specific trading platform, or you can pick it up on a charting software like TradingView, and you can type in the ticker up in the box. So you can go and say, I'm looking for Tesla, TSLA. You type in the ticker, there's Tesla, boom, and the Tesla chart opens, and you can do your analysis on it. You can actually trade it live, public. It's a public company, so you can trade it. You can trade shares, and when you buy a share, you actually own a certain little part of that company. If you buy a piece of Tesla, here off of this support line, you spent 600 quid to buy a share in Tesla. You own a small little piece of a company worth 600 billion. So like, you own a very, very 600 euros out of 600 and something billion is absolutely obviously nothing compared to it. And you see people buying and sharing, like Tesla, Tesla would be one of the, definitely a huge company in this year. Like, you can see it looks quite a lot like Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, it's not correlated by any stretch of the imagination. You can't really correlate a stock with I'll just close that out so you can actually see the price. But you can see the price actually, you can see the price followed a similar pattern. It doesn't mean anything necessarily, but the Bitcoin chart picked up in 2020. Same thing with Tesla. But Tesla got to 2,000 euros a share, right? Or $2,000 per share ish. And what they had to do to 2,000, 2,200, 2,500, whatever it was, I can't remember the exact figure. But when it got to that value, right, the company couldn't handle it anymore. It wasn't able to sustain that amount of that value. It was very, very low volume compared to when it was cheaper. So what they did here, you can see the S was a stock split. So a stock split, a 5-to-1 stock split, literally just means if I own or share split, whatever you want to call it, it splits. If you own a share, they cut the value of it 5 ways and give you 5 shares in the company. So it makes the cost per share much, much lower. So everyone involved in the company gets a load more shares. So if I had 100 shares and there was a 5-to-1 stock split, I now control 500 shares in the company at less value. They're valued less. You don't lose any money when a stock split happens. It just distributes your lump of one share at 2,000 or 2,500 for simplicity's sake into 5 shares at 500 a piece. Like I said, if you have 100 shares, you've now a 500, and that's the simplest way of explaining it, basically. So we'll hop back over to the Bitcoin chart because we were actually doing a little bit of quick technical analysis. So what I do at this point in time is these 2 lines, get rid of them because they're too close together. They'll just kind of confuse the chart. So I'll just hold control and draw my box off of that high, and then I'll go and I'll draw the other half of it off that high. Then I'll catch the little sideways arrow thing just to drag it out, and drag it out another small bit over here as well. So that's our zone, and it was resistance, or was support. Resistance here came up, price broke through it, came back, kind of retested it, came back down, and it met resistance. So that this isn't necessarily the only place where there is resistance. So you could put the zone here, and you could pull this part down to down to here if you wanted it, and you say that's the zone of resistance. But when price comes down into it, do you long here? Do you go long here? Do you go long here? Do you go long here? There's how much in the difference. So there's at the top of this zone there's 44, they call it 45,000, and down here there's 40,000. So there's $5,000 of price action in between that zone. So if your zones are too wide, you're not going to be able to. You won't be able to get a good entry. Well, on a daily chart, you're going to be finding it hard to find entries on a daily chart. You're not going to be finding those real nice. You've heard me talking about sniper entries before, and I'll be bringing a video just going into the basics of that, because it's a very, very vast kind of a topic, and there's loads of different indicators and different ways of doing analysis that you can use to form a sniper type entry. But see, if you plot this just off of the absolute highs, right, price has to get to the extreme value it did before to actually, to confirm your level. I'd put it from the kind of average price kind of area-ish kind of thing. So like kind of that kind of a zone. It's still a very, very wide zone. You could nearly plot off of those two highs. I remember we had the lines on the chart here at this point and over here. You could actually put these levels now, something like this, right? So, and it's all by your eye. I might notice that in terms of Bitcoin's very volatile. So having your levels kind of more generalized than you would on, say, a forex chart would be more beneficial, because sometimes, as you can see here, if I plotted this level off this, it didn't quite get there, right? Because Bitcoin was in a bull run, so it's going to be less likely to hit that exact same level. If it's bullish, it's going to be making these kind of, your price action is going to be, if I open up the path should be in here. No, path isn't in here. Path is up here. Is it? No, you're making a fool of me now. Where is the path? The path tool. Am I just blind and I just can't see it? Is it in here? Nope. It's not important now that I have the path tool, but it's kind of handy if I do. Can't find it. Oh, it's probably in here, is it? I was already in there. Doesn't matter. Not there. Was it there? There's the path tool, right? So if we have price coming up like this, right, and it comes down to here, and we're constantly making those higher highs and higher lows, right? When we're waiting for price to come back down to this level here, right? We're expecting price to come back down, but it doesn't. And same thing here. We're expecting price to come back down to this level, but it doesn't. Same thing again here. We're waiting for price to come down. No, it doesn't come down. And price doesn't come down again. So we're missing all those entries, right? So by having a more generalized kind of a level in a volatile currency like a cryptocurrency, it's a good thing to have. If you middle click on any element on a chart on TradingView as well, it'll delete it. You don't have to go and delete every time. So that's just a quick little introduction into that. But what you could do is have your horizontal raise, and I'd put one maybe there on that level, and put one in maybe in that kind of area. So now we have a more generalized, and that is taking that big gap there where we haven't seen anything really react, and we see things dipping down into it, but the real resistance is found here. See, price did go down to here, but I'd say a more generalized one would be about there. And the same for here. Look, price wicked up to here, but that's not really strong. I'd say about there would be good enough. Right, so we're doing a bit of technical analysis on this chart. So what we're wary of is that retest, right? So we can see it here off of these two candles. So this is the candle that we were looking at where we made that high, and this is where we're wary of the retest, right? So we have to be careful, because if it does retest, and I hold a substantial amount of my portfolio in Bitcoin, my portfolio is slowly going to pull down. But my portfolio at this stage isn't too much in danger because of my entry back in not October, early November, right? So it's going to take a hell of a long time to put me back in the red, right? But we're always looking for more profit, and when we're talking about portfolio type investing, we need to understand that it's a long-term holding, so we're going to be waiting for that. We're trying to get out at the perfect time if we are going to close the position, or if we're going to close a quarter or a half or a third or whatever of the position we're holding. So if we see this retest, I might close out 10%, right? I might close out 10% of my Bitcoin position, so take my 10% profit on this and just be happy, right? Or I might pull 20%, or if we see a massive dip down to this level, we might think about something like that. But now what I do is I start scaling, right? I start scaling it back, seeing a little bit more noise in the price action. So we start seeing these, so every candle we see here is now turned into 2 candles. So we're seeing a little bit more noise. So that single wick candle that we had, the single wick one here, has now turned into these 2 candles. So we can see what happened. It went whoop, and it pulled down again. So that was what that wick, that single wick candle with the big long wicks, that's what that one meant. So there was a big push and a retracement pullback, controlling the price back down. So we're seeing a little bit more noise on the chart, so we can start refining levels. So if we see, yeah, that was actually a good placement of the level, so we can have another little look, because the wick could literally mean that price shot up and came back down again. So wicks aren't all, you don't always draw off the wicks. Wicks means price was pushed to that level, but the body of the candle is where the average kind of was. So, and by no means, if price gets to a level and creates a wick, it did get to that level. So if you had a take profit set it close to the top of that wick, price goes up and swoops out that take profit, you're green. You've taken your profit. Price got to the level you thought. Maybe it wasn't going to be a gradual move to that level. Maybe it predicted a wick or some market indecision or a huge load of bulls coming in driving the price up. Bears weren't there to curtail them, and the price was going whoosh. And then the bears realised and pulled it back down. Hey, you're not supposed to be up there. Come back down. So we're starting to see a little more noise in the chart. We're starting to see what that wick made, that single wick. Remember we were talking about that? It kind of popped up and now it came back down again. We're starting to come up. Came up to the level, bounced off it and ploughed up through, right? So then we retested, came up, made a new high. So we're definitely uptrending, as Bitcoin has been, as we said, for most of 2021. So far in the first quarter we've been very good in the first quarter. So we kind of, we made, so this would have been a good trend line, right? We're marking it off highs because it's easy to see on the chart. This could easily have been done down here. So look, we can see we're definitely not breaking. We're kind of missing kind of lows. Like if we have broken, so that would have been the trend line we would have had from the start of the year. So this would have been the kind of trend line we would have been holding, and we can see that we did break down below. We could be on a retest of that level, right? So that we have horizontal levels and we have diagonal levels, right, of support and resistance. So we can see here that we have created a bit of resistance in this location, right? We have a bit of resistance forming here, as well as this trend line. I'll change that to a different color because it'll be a little bit confusing. We'll just change it to yellow. So the price came up and it came down, and it's after coming up, and we're kind of getting to the stage now where we need to be thinking about, is it going to retest? Because we're retesting off of, so we broke below, we closed below, so that means we came down, but we need to retest it to actually confirm that, right? So we need to confirm that we're below, and we want to be below this line. So we've broken out of the uptrend, if you understand what I mean. So then we can kind of cross this with a new trend pulling down it this way. So we have to be kind of thinking, oh, we're meeting that's that kind of resistance again. So we're kind of pulling back down again. We could have done the same thing back here, checked for that, but look, things blew up through. Didn't even need to check for the retest. It blew up through. So, but here now we're getting very skeptical in this area, because when we're coming to the top of a big bull trend, big uptrend, we're getting to a stage now where we need to start thinking about maybe closing out of some of our positions, because when some people that wouldn't have gotten in optimum locations, it might be time to people might have gotten in here, but now price is coming down to the level, more short-term positions, swing trades, long-term swing trades, that kind of thing. So overall, how am I feeling about Bitcoin at the moment? I'm very worried, to say the least. We could see a pull. If this retest type situation actually holds true, we could see a bit of a. Long term, I am bullish. Summertime may be more bullish. For the kind of springtime that we're in now, we could see a kind of a bearish run back down to the towards the downside, down towards this level, picking up. Then we could, following this trend line, we could be seeing the end of April, May, before we actually start to pick up again. So trend lines can predict. We always try to predict future events. So if we set this for the 1st of May, right, we could see price follow this trend to the downside. So just to plot a channel, so it could follow this channel to the downside, and it could hold true. So it could hold this trend down until May time. It's kind of May time, and then start to pick up again. So like, we could just exaggerate it a little bit. We could pull down to there, and then we could start maybe looking at a bit of an uptrend picking up again. So we could come for the retest into maybe coming. We could play around down at the bottom for a while, and then we might start to be looking up, at pulling up through into the start of May, retest back down. I should actually be using the PAT tool for all this, but we could see things pulling back up to these levels of the kind of late, the start earlier part of this week, these kind of levels, and then breaking up then to the 70,000-100,000 mark. Who knows? We don't know for definite. Cryptos aren't around long. Well, they are in terms of they've been around for a few years. They don't have the history that currencies have, but we have a good bit of information. We have enough information to work off of, and predicting future events, like we're after making the 55,500 now, so we're waiting for that. But that's that could. So remember, we were talking about round numbers. Round numbers means like with round numbers, like we're seeing dojis even forming here now on the 12 hour. So so if we just zoom in on this, we can see dojis starting to form, right? Dojis, we're seeing price indecision. Price doesn't want to go. The bulls aren't there to shove the price up, so we could see this pulling back down to the downside again. So like, we're seeing a doji there. We're not really seeing dojis. We're seeing big bearish engulfing. Look, big bearish engulfing. That's not bearish engulfing, but we're seeing a lot of bearish strength here. Look, bearish engulfing, not bearish engulfing there. What I mean by bearish engulfing, if you haven't been here before, bearish engulfing is basically the price, the wick wicked above and wicked below, and the body contains the body of the other candle. So it's a specific set of rules. So this qualifies as a bearish engulfing candle. It's well enough to be a bearish engulfing candle because it wicked way above. Probably a couple of $100 above. It wicked way below. If this body was up slightly more, we'd be ideal. But that's a bearish engulfing enough for practically any trading strategy. But we see not bullish engulfings, not bullish engulfing variants. We're not seeing. See, look, there's a bullish engulfing candle, fully engulfed that candle there. So people might have gotten in on a lower time frame for that candle. Hold on, we'll highlight that candle just so we can see it. So it's the 12 hour on the 17th of March at midday, right? So 17th of March, here it is, at midday, right? So there's the 4 hour. So people might have gotten in. So there's a bearish engulfing variant. People might have hopped in here. Not a outstanding entry because you don't know where to set your stops. Don't know where to. You could have been targeting the all-time high, all-time high if you wanted to. There's loads of different ways you could have analyzed this, but the fact that we have seen a lot of bearish pressure, it's not worth entering in a downtrend off of bullish engulfing pressure is not a good sign. It's bullish engulfing pressure in a downtrend is fake out territory. You're looking at fake outs. You're looking at real you're trying to swim upstream. There's a current fighting against you, and you're trying to swim upstream. And that's obviously you're fighting a losing battle, swimming upstream against the current, because the water's just going to overpower you. That's the same thing. The overall market is coming down, and you as a retail trader, you're not going to be able to control the market, especially not the Bitcoin market, because Bitcoin market is huge. There's huge amounts of people in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is ridiculous. To be able to hold a value like that, there needs to be a lot of people in it. The throat's starting to get a little bit dry. So in Bitcoin, we're seeing bearish pressure. So we'll just give a little bit of a general conclusion to the Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is looking bearish, right? It's been bearish over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's nothing to be really concerned about, because as we see here, right, price came up and plummeted. So I don't think it's too much of a cause for concern. What I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about is this one here is the new that, right? So this one here is the new one of them, right? So we're seeing that's the end of the trend, and that's what I'm hoping. That's the kind of way I'm feeling in this particular place here, right? So look, just as we speak, we're up an extra 100. Look, we're up an extra 100 from where we were talking a minute ago. So this candle could actually definitely take a turn to the upside. But we are seeing a lot of kind of wicky candles, look, big wicks to the upside all along. When we hit, every time we came up to this resistance, we're seeing wicks and it just pulling back down, wick and then coming back down, wick, come back down, wick, come back down. We're seeing lots of that happen. It's not good to see, because if Bitcoin turns bearish, there could be a lot of turmoil for a lot of people. This is not beyond the realms of possibility that we might pull back down to here. Like if we take, I've never featured this before. This is a fairly advanced strategy, but a Fibonacci retracement. So if we draw this, right? So we nearly made the predicted level of the Fibonacci extension, right? So this is based off of the Fibonacci sequence. So Fibonacci sequence, right? So the Fibonacci sequence is basically when you take a number and add it with the previous number, you get the next number. So I think that's what it is. Yeah, so 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, and so on, right? So that's how the Fibonacci sequence works. So that's the basis of this trading indicator, I suppose you could call it. So people could have, off of this, right, when they saw price starting to pick up from here, right, so came up above this resistance and kind of treated that as a kind of a fake out, and people could have been targeting this. Targeting a Fibonacci long term is, if Fibonacci works, it's not guaranteed to work, but in my experience, Fibonacci has worked. The Fibonacci retracement extension tool has worked for me short term, right? Not so much long term, and you can use it for future predictions. It's a prediction type thing. So you draw it based off of the high, right? So for a retracement to go bullish, you draw from the top down, and if you want to go for a short, you draw from the bottom up, and you haven't reached. So wherever you click first is where it's going to retrace from. So the first click is going to be the one, right? So where you click first is 1. So you plot this, right? So off of the high and then off of the low. So I have it you can snap it to the level if you want, and then I don't know, you can't put it over, so you just kind of have to make it fit. But it is only an overlay, kind of an indicator. So what people would have done, and me personally, if I was getting in this kind of area, so you see bullish kind of pressure starting to pull, and you might see the retracement here, someone might have gotten in there, right? Stops below, take profit. Whoops. So people might have getting in here maybe, or whatever. Prices are stop loss below the low that you measured off of by a certain ATR, or however you formulate your stop loss, and people would have been targeting this this level up here. So beautiful, 2-to-1 long-term trade. It's not bad at all. You could put it, just if you were very bullish on this, you could have a real tight trade and actually stretch it out to the extent. But you see, by using this long term, we didn't quite make the level we were expecting. This was expecting a price target of 62,500, say, right, roughly. So it's not dead accurate long term. It's very accurate short term in my experience. And Fibonacci retracement is not a strategy on its own, by no means. It just because price comes down here, you need to find your sniper entry. You need to do everything to do with formulating your full trading strategy. This is part of some of my trading strategies for Forex specifically. Some of the more day trade type strategies, scalpers use this a lot because they do a lot of retracement and to the next level of support. Like scalp trading is literally all this kind of stuff where throw it back to a 15-minute chart. What scalpers do, they have their levels drawn. Scalper's there and he's going, okay, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, and whatever, right? He's going, okay, there's bearish engulfing, boom, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and he's just doing that all day, every day, and that's how the scalper works. The scalper is just in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, really, really quick. That's the way they work. Day traders, they go, say the hourly chart is my main chart. So they're there and they're looking for the nice entry. So they're looking for, okay, price is coming down to this. So we're looking at this bearish pressure coming down, wicking. So it's finding support. So it's being supported. So we're seeing, okay, nice bit of bearish or bullish pressure. So we're there. The bears are losing out. So I'm kind of there. I'm like, okay, this area is looking. So we're looking there. Okay, coming into the evening of the 25th. So this was Friday. 25th was Friday. No, Thursday. What is it? Saturday. So 27th, 6th. Yeah. So late last week. I won't do specifics because it is a more kind of we're looking at it in a more general sense. So we have it's say here, right? We're looking at the price pulling up, right? So this wouldn't be any cause for getting in, nothing straight away. There's a bit of a bullish engulfing variation coming here, but after a lot of bearish pressure, it can be sometimes just it's like if you caught an elastic band, stretched it out, and when you leave it off, it's gonna slap. Or what would be a better example? If you get a slingshot, right, and if you say pull it back and you shoot it, it's gonna go forward and it's gonna come back, right? So bearish. Sometimes when you see a bearish move, you're going to see a pull and it's going to jump, but it's going to come back down again, and stuff like that can happen the whole time in the markets. So say just for instance, we entered off of the bearish and the bullish engulfing there. The bullish engulfing variation stops below target profit, right? Target the resistance, right? And we get out, hit and take profit, whatever, right? So with a day trader, we notice as a day trader, you analyze and you find a situation on the chart where things can be looking good, right? You see a potential for a trade. Then what I do is I highlight the area, right? I usually use a blue box to highlight the area, right, of interest. Then I scale down to a smaller time frame, find that. And this is where I go for my sniper entry, right? Sniper entry is just a kind of a colloquial way of explaining find a good entry, right? So there's that bearish engulfing kind of trend that we were looking at. So we see bullish engulfing variant. So we could have seen a nice entry off of that, right? Stops below, target take profit, right? So our target the resistance. So long term. So this would be like, this is 15 minutes, this is a couple of days of data or whatever. But as a day trader, this could have been a nice setup for you, right? You could have been looking for a swing trade position. Like I look for swing trade positions every day on Forex, the whole lot. So I primarily day trade, but if I see a good swing trade position, I throw that in on top of my day trades. So we have a nice a bit of a nice setup here. So we're finding rejection off the support line, It's always good when we're looking for buys. Not necessarily good in a downtrend, but when we're day trading, the overall trend doesn't have too much of an effect on our trading. So we have a lot of people coming into the. So we see there's people trying to push the price back up. And you're always going to have that when price comes down. See, after this big run down to the downside, people are going to start trying pushing the price up, and the bears are going to come in. They're going to be just dogging with each other the whole time, right? So we're going to look for an ideal entry, right? And we scale the chart down. So we started on the daily chart, 3/4 of an hour ago, and now we're down on the 15-minute. So we're going to start our analysis when we open up a chart fresh. We open up the day chart. We start scaling down. 12-hour, 4-hour, 1 hour, and then down to the 15-minute. Right? That's the way I would, from a day trading point of view. Start on the daily, work my way down. So the daily, the 12, and that gives me the overall idea of trend, as well as, so if we knock back to the 4, it gives me a good idea of the trend, as well as where the key levels. So if you're in a 15-minute chart trying to plot levels, you're going to have 100 different levels on the thing. They're not the key levels. They would be some of those would be the key levels for short-term trading, scalp trading, day trading, but you're going to have a lot of clutter in there. So when you're day trading, I'm not going to be entering a position every day on Bitcoin. I day trade Bitcoin as well as my long-term position, but so I'm taking advantage of these daily moves, the small moves between levels of support and resistance. But when the price, so when we're looking from a day trading point of view, when we're trying to get a nice entry, we need to scale down, because as a day trader, you're not going to find a great entry on a 4-hour chart. A scalper, or not a scalper, a swing trader or a long-term trader would find a great entry on a 4-hour for his specific strategy on a long-term basis. But me as a day trader, I'm just going to, you're not going to find a great day trading entry, because a day in the Forex market, there's only probably 8 or 10 hours on different pairs where there's going to be huge price movements. Like when if we knock it over to the GBP, so if we look at this, like, to me, I find when there's European currencies, so with the euro, we have the pound and things like that, the best moves for me, I find, are on a Tuesday 8 a.m. Tuesday 8 a.m. is good. So anytime from 6 to 8, I'm always keeping an eye out there for what kind of way the chart is always trying to tell you what's going to happen, and you just need to figure out what it's trying to tell you. It's a kind of a way of kind of understanding it. It's not actually the way it works, but it's always, the information is there. It's just you have to find it. So with the pound and the likes of the Euro USD, Pound USD, Aussie wouldn't be as much. It's the kind of ones where they're dominated by the dollar. So the quoted dollar currencies. So I have them here: the Euro, Pound, Aussie, the Kiwi dollar. We have then it starts to change where the euros or the dollar is the base currency. But these types of ones, I noticed that they move early. Move more early in the day, so it's more kind of like that. You see the move well on its way at 8 o'clock. So see here, right? So there's 1 a.m. So this isn't a prime example of what I'm trying to explain. So where's the 8 a.m.? So there's the 8 a.m. but price is well on its way at 8 a.m. There's 6 a.m., 5, 4, 3. So there's been a good bit of movement. Why? Because the New Zealand session starts in the middle of the night for us in GMT time zone, right? So if we get up, is it the time zones? So the Forex time zones, you can see here, right? So GMT, yeah. So the London session starts 8 a.m. Then it overlaps with the New York session, 1 o'clock, that kind of time. Then London session closes just at 5 o'clock, and then the New York session continues with no overlap after that until it gets to the Sydney session, which starts in the night time. So if we knock that back over to the New Zealand chart, so if we look at the price at around the 10 o'clock, where it's understood that the Sydney market starts to open up. So the Sydney market starts to open at 10 o'clock, and what do we see? The price starts to move, and the price moves and moves and moves and moves. So you could base a strategy just off of, you enter your position on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. Those are the days where there's huge, more greater market movements. So say we go in for the short position, and say our strategy is revolved around the start of the particular time zone, or the trading time zone, whatever, the forex, when the market in that country starts to get rolling. So that's where our strategy is rooted, right? So say you enter either whatever way you're feeling. I don't employ a strategy like this, so I don't know too much from someone that would know, that would have employed a strategy like this. I'd find this to be way too loose. I'm more of a much tighter entry exit type trader. So say your thing was market open, I enter either short or long, right? So you set your stop loss there, and you target something down off of previous price action, say this level if you wanted to. Say you set your thing there, you missed a good bit of the move. See, this isn't the strategy like I know it. So say that's your thing. You enter on market. The market doesn't open. It's not like the stock market where you can't trade it until a specific time. You can. I could hop in here at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or whenever, right? I can enter whenever. It's just when the market really starts to move, the economy opens, shops open, people are awake, people are trading, the volume comes in. So if we just turn on the volume, so we can see where, so there's peaks, so there's obviously going to be peaks. So news came out here, bears came in, right? Bears started to pull, bulls started to lose, and price pulled down. So that this move here was a result of this, right? So this one here, the bulls came in, but bears came in and just pulled them back down. After the bulls were up hanging out of the ceiling, they pulled them back down out of it. So another strategy that someone might start to develop is when they see, so they might notice that on the New Zealand dollar there might be whenever there's a big bearish volume, when a load of bears come into the market, a couple of hours later the market's going to pull down, right? Say that might be their strategy. So when they notice on the volume, when say this is an hourly chart, so I'm not going to do a 4-hour chart, right? They see that there was a lot of bears came in at a specific time, right? A lot of bears came in at a specific time, so they short when the candle after. So that's this candle. So the candle after on the open, they short, right? They short, put their stops above previous levels, and they target previous levels, whatever. I don't do a strategy like this, like I said before. So I don't know the ins and outs of a strategy of this nature. It'd be, as I said, way too loose and way too risky for me. So that wouldn't suit me at all. But that's the kind of way you can kind of view things. And just as a side note, if you are thinking about getting into trading, Forex is probably the best avenue. It's the cheapest avenue to get in on, because Bitcoin at the moment, at the value it's at, you don't need a big trading account by any stretch of the imagination. It's just you're going to be risking a lot of your account on a Bitcoin trade. We see Jack Busher. Can you break down hot USDT? Yeah, no bother. We'll have a look at it there now. So we'll throw it over here now. Right. Hollow. Right. Let's have a look at this now. Right. So we're 1 cent. Yeah, one. Okay, we're not doing too bad price wise. So we'll hop onto the daily. We'll have a look. Right. So 2021 straight away, loads of volume in 2021. Good to see for so Hollow. We'll just get a little bit of fundamental on Hollow, right? I can't actually see the thing there. So Hollow crypto, Hollow chain. I think Hollow chain would be the one. I'm not too familiar with this one now, so we'll give it a quick the coin market cap. We'll hop up onto that one. So Hollow, so we'll have a look. So price, yeah, okay. So over the last last month, so okay, we're sitting in the upper quartile of the price action. So that's good. We're seeing a good bit of bullish pressure. over the last month. So it's good to see over the last month we are on the upper side of it. So we're seeing so we're up 1% for the day Sunday. So I'll post a good bit about it there this week. If I see reason to post about it, I will over on the Instagram. So hop over X91Investing on Instagram. So fundamentally, so market cap. So over the last, did not mean to do that, so we'll just refresh. So we're seeing, so in recent times we're seeing, so coming up 1.6, 1.8 billion and market cap. So we're starting to see a lot of people in on this now. So I will definitely do a little bit more research on it now, just before I in my own time after this. So we had the chart open, so hot. So quickly, so we don't have a huge amount of price action to work with off the bat, right? So on the daily, so it's been really in the last month to 40 days ish, right, that we've started to see price start to pick up, and we see drastic movements. So in a day, the main steps have been made in a day, so it's quite volatile. So we'll not go back to the 4 hour, and we'll have it. I'll practice what I preach, and I will mark in a couple of levels. So we'll stick in a high. So actually we'll put in the absolute high. So this is the highest it's gotten to. And we'll mark in that level, and we'll do, maybe we could zone off of these two. Yeah, we'll do a zone off of them, and in this location as well. There's a good bit of stuff to be looking at. Right, so I can see straight away there's a good, so we kind of met a little bit of consolidation down here, meaning there's kind of indecision in price. So it was a little bit, so this was a span of say 2 weeks ish. Yeah, so two-ish, 3 weeks movement there. So we have, price broke up out of this level. The next day came down, retested it, and popped back up. So if we break down the price action a small bit, we can see what kind of went on. So price, it made a bust, and it came back down, and it pushed on again from there. So and then it met little resistance on the way up, so it kind of had it easy going up over the next couple of days. Came back down, so it made the new high, came down, and it kind of got to the bit of support there. So, and it's been kind of holding that support over the last couple of weeks as well, or last couple of days. So yeah, see, as I said, we don't have a huge amount of price action to be looking at. So it's gonna be hard. This is obviously a quite a new, it's very new, but not necessarily. So yeah, it's been around a while, and it has made its kind of burst, but this has been the biggest it's obviously been to, and I'll just have to make sure, I'll have to ensure that it's not meme type territory when it comes to the kind of nature of the currency, and it seems to be good. I'll just have to check fundamentals, because when you might have last week I was talking about Safe Moon. Mars Moon was, Safe Mars was the other one. I didn't mention that one, but I was a little bit hesitant because that one was very, very new at that stage, and Safe Moon was after making a bit of a movement, whereas Safe Mars was kind of sitting where Safe Moon was about a week before that. So and Safe Mars made a kind of a level, but it's after pulling back down off it, and I don't think there's too much strength in Safe Mars. Same thing with Safe Moon. I think Safe Moon's after making its move. I doubt it's gonna go too much further. I'll let you know further on that. But Safe Moon, I think the rocket left the station. There's little more to come with Safe Moon. But back to this, it could be, see, when you look on TikTok and the likes of YouTube, people are going to be pushing these things, right? There's one lad on YouTube. He's on the hunt to look for the next 100x cryptocurrency. Connor Kenny, I think, is his name. If you want to look at some of his stuff he covers a lot of the new kind of cryptos and all these kind of new like the likes of Safe Moon and Safe Mars, and he covers a lot of those kind of new kind of currencies that could be seen as kind of meme currencies. But I haven't heard of this one now, so this one might be more of a sophisticated type one. But the thing about SafeMoon was it followed a lot of the same fundamentals as Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is very, very strong because of its fundamentals, and it hasn't been pulled off of the pedestal for that reason. Bitcoin has strong fundamentals, and that's why I felt very strongly in SafeMoon as well. So we'll just quickly pop over to the SafeMoon. I spelled SafeMoon safe wrong. SafeMoon. There's SafeMoon. We'll have a look at the price on that. Yeah, look, we're pulling back. SafeMoon, same thing. Look, the Safe Mars as well. Chart looks like that. Oh my god, I cannot spell Safe Mars. Anything else? Oh, this is the next 100x. Where did you hear about SafeMoon, or not SafeMoon? Sorry, Hot. Just if you saw it on YouTube or TikTok, or where did you see it? I might be able to get a little bit more fundamental. I might bring out a video maybe tomorrow or the day after. I'll just do a little bit of read up on it just to get a little bit more well versed with it. But we can see the price of Safe Mars just took a level and just fell back down off it. The market, the volume wasn't there to hold it. Basically, there's so many of these little currencies trying to come in to the Bitcoin territory, and when you dilute the market too much, that's where you see the things starting to fall back. I looked into the okay, right, so you've done your little bit of fundamental, and you're looking into the background, which is good. You're not just hopping in onto a bandwagon like a lot of people do. Like, the worst one of all by far was Doge, right? People saw this big surge with Doge, right? And then price just pulled back, and now we're at where Doge is today with very, very little strength in it whatsoever. There's no fundamentals in Doge. Doge was a meme currency at its, oh yeah, that was the message from a minute ago. So Doge, there's no fundamentals to back up Doge. Bitcoin is good because of its fundamentals. Doge was memed, and it was just pumped and dumped. That's the truth of it. And a lot of people were there, oh, what are you, like, people sending me messages, oh, are you on Doge, should I buy Doge? And other people saying, and I just basically said to them, you need to get rid of, these people weren't even experienced traders. They weren't even investing at all. They didn't have a Forex account or any form of a trading account. So what I said to them was, you have FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's one of the biggest things as a trader you need to just forget about, right? And I see here, Jack, you're saying that you lost 2k on Doge. Look, sorry, it's horrible to hear, and as traders you lose. Like, I lost ridiculous amounts trading when I started, and over time you lose little bits and you lose big things, and when you don't follow your trading plans properly, you're going to slide and you're going to slip. And especially when you go on a losing streak, you're going to have FOMO to the rafters. You're going to be there. You're going to be trying to take every single opportunity you can, and that's where you're going to blow your account. If you don't follow your plan, if you don't have a clear entry, clear exit, and with a lot of these new currencies coming around, right, I'll have to do my little bit of read up on Hollow, but currently it's looking strong. Like, we're seeing, so what I'm kind of straight away what's jumping out at me is this move. It consolidated and blew up again, right? This one came up, consolidated and blew up again, right? So what we could be looking at is another one around this kind of level coming to happen. A bit of a consolidation and another pump, and maybe we could be looking at another, maybe 15. Just call it 15 even, maybe 15.5, right? Put it at 15.5, just to kind of keep the same kind of ratio. Maybe if we were even thinking a little bit more bullish, put it to 60. But we can see that if we condense the chart down and just open up the path tool again, if I can find it straight away this time, so we can see price comes and it consolidates, so it kind of moves straight across. It doesn't really make a big push or a big fall off, but then it makes a substantial push, and it kind of makes that kind of gradual kind of move across to make another push up. So that's what we're after seeing, another nice push up, and we might see so this one was long, this one shortened off. It could be a short, it could be the next couple of days, we could see that next surge. It could be maybe the end of next week before we see it push up to that level. That couldn't be beyond the realms of imagination. And it's not cheap. It's not as cheap as Safe Moon or Safe Mars, but it's still, you know, it's very, very cheap. Like you could get in on this with a, you know, you could throw a couple of, you could throw 50 quid at this and you could catch that next wave going up. This is where it would have been nice to be catching it. Back here where price was, you know, triple digits to the 5 at opens, lows of triple digits to the 5-4. Back here, triple digits to the 6. So yeah, there's been a bit of fluctuation around that kind of level. Price kind of hiking, late 19, mid to late, say mid 19. Price kind of settling down again and pushing back into these territories. This might be one to actually keep an eye on. What cryptos do I own? So currently, the only cryptos that I am in long term are Bitcoin and Ether, right? So Ether as well. So I haven't really talked too much about Ether because Bitcoin is the kind of one that's hyped up. Ether is the cheap. It's the Bitcoin on sale, basically, right? So if we open up the cryptos, so we have Bitcoin. Ripple is more of a short term. It's very, very volatile. It's cheap. It's, you know, it looks along the lines of kind of it's like a currency, at the value of a currency. But Ether, right, valued at about 1600 a coin. So, but those are the only two I'm in at the moment, Ether and Bitcoin, right? Because Ether and Bitcoin have their forex indices. If you just saw it there just before I clicked it off, they're forex indices. So we have the Dixie, which is the dollar index, and the EXY, which is the euro index, but they're irrelevant when it comes to the cryptos. So this is Ether. So this is the other crypto that I'm currently feeling fairly bullish on. They do follow similar patterns because cryptos in general are all rooted from the same source, a man-made currency. Any crypto out there is man-made. It's been coded up and programmed by a human, so there's a lot of skepticism when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Just as a side note, there is conspiracy theories and all that to do with people thinking that every movement on a Bitcoin chart, there is someone plugging in a figure into a formula that's making the fluctuations happen. Personally, I think that's completely false. I don't think that could be left happen. Actually, I posted on Instagram last week as well that the governments around the world might be outlawing Bitcoin, which I think is ridiculous. Like, that's only jealousy and control. They're losing control of currencies, and so currencies actually, you know, they're directly correlated with the economy of a country. So you might have heard stories of like you might be talking to your grandparents and people, your grandparents saying, oh, back in my day I could buy a bag of crisps for 2 pence or whatever it would have cost, but now it would cost you 80 cents. It's not the value of the product getting more and more and more. That 2 cents is now worthless. Currencies back 50 years ago were much more valuable than they are now. Like, what they were spending 2 pence on is now worth 80 cents. So if you think the 2 cents, call it, but back in old Irish money, that's what it was kind of called. So it's not the value of the product getting more, it's the value of the currency devaluing drastically. So that's like something on a chart being at 80 cents. Say the Ripple was at 80 cents, but it going back down to 0.02 in value. That's the kind of move that you're talking about. In 50 years, it's quite a substantial length of time. But that's the way currencies work, and the economy of a country is directly linked to that. So the devaluation of the currency will encourage economic growth and so on. But with a cryptocurrency, you're not going to have that same effect. A cryptocurrency is a cryptocurrency. It's a digital currency. It's not controlled. The conspiracists are there thinking it's controlled by a human at a desk with a keyboard and mouse plugging in figures. But personally, I think that's completely false. I think that if there was stuff like that happening, there would be ridiculous movements in currencies. Maybe for the simple fact they don't want to be detected. That's from the conspiracist perspective, that they don't want to be detected. They don't want to be found out that there is. But there's so many of them there, that they would be found out by now if that's the kind of carry on that was going on. But back to Hollow. Was it Hollow? I can't even remember what it was called. Hollow, I think it was. I have completely lost. So Save Mars, we'll knock that back. Save Moon, back to Hollow. Right. So Hollow USD Tether, right. So we'll hop back over to that. So knock that out. Hollow USDT. Oh, we missed it. Hollow USDT. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so basically to answer your question, Jack, I'm Jason, by the way. You don't have to call me X91. I could see this as a possibility in the next couple of days. Not too distant future, but I could see that in the next couple of days. We could see something like this. I'd watch out on it. Don't load up, because Hollow could be just another one of those Doge. It could be another one of the Safe Moon. It could be another one of this, another one of that. Fundamentally, I'll put out a post on Instagram just explaining after I do my little bit of fundamental research on the crypto, because I was feeling very, very strong, and I actually did buy up a bit of Safe Moon. I made a nice few quid on it. It did make a good few percent of an increase over the last 2 weeks, but sure, like I think we could be seeing the end of Safe Moon, because we're seeing big fall offs like this. It could be just a retracement like anything, but when it comes to these very, very small, like where when you're talking like 6 digits to the 3, where last week like it got up to, in the last month it got up to was it 6 digits to the 5 nearly. I made a post about that on Instagram. That's practically where it got to, and I don't see it breaking that level. And there's so many, as I said, the market is so like there's so many little cryptos coming in, and people are picking up on them, like people liking the names of them. There's one about Elon that's like it's had a slip in my mind. It was like Elon. It was a play on words anyway, but it had Elon Musk. It had his name as a kind of a play on words in the title of it, which I thought was kind of clever. Elongate, I think is what it was, or something like that was the name of it. I think it's something like that. Elon. No, it's not here. But yeah, there was something like that I heard about during the week as well, that I was kind of like, there's so many of these little currencies, and I just like the thing with Doge, like you can load up on a cryptocurrency and hope, you can pray and hope that it's the next big Bitcoin, but it's not promised. By no means is it essential that it is going to be that, but look, it's the nature of the game. It's all risk calculation, risk assessment, and just making sure that when you open a position, it's in favor. You are more likely to win this position than lose it. Sometimes you're going to have to take negative, negatively predicted odds, but sometimes to take the less likely option for a greater benefit might be the better option. In some instances, with these small ones, I'd rather be like I was quite bullish on Safe Moon, but it's starting to prove that it is more of a short term little pump up, and it was dumped. It wasn't a pump and dump, obviously, because it didn't pump up to ridiculous levels. See, there was a huge load of volume came into the market here, but there's not necessarily I can't personally see it going too much higher than this. So look, that's how I'm feeling that's a very, very long-winded way of saying it. I could see hot getting to this kind of level. 0.016 mightn't be beyond the realms of possibility in the short term. Long term, there's not. Look, we have nothing to base it off of, and I know very little fundamentally. Just keep an eye on the Instagram. I'll post about it tomorrow after I do my little bit of research. I'm not going to go and read up on it now and put up a rushed kind of a post on it. I'll do a proper analysis and a proper look into it, and make sure, if I make a call on it, that it is feasible in terms of a trading opportunity. But Jen, personally, I find Ether, Ripple, short term, is a good one to kind of maybe think about. Ripple short term isn't a bad one. There was a nice pump there about 6 months ago on Ripple. That's not 6 months ago. It was around around October, November. Watching this thing happen. I entered. I think I made a bad call back here. Late November, just before Christmas. I made a bad call on a long position, somewhere around here. I was just like, when you're looking at these, like Ripple is probably one of the more established, really like penny cryptos. It's really strong fundamentally, and it follows the same kind of fundamentals as Bitcoin, only that it can't get any higher than this, because when people buy Ripple, the actual pool of, when you buy Ripple tokens, the pool of Ripple tokens increases. You're not buying part of a set. Say there was 1 million, you're not buying 100,000 and owning 10%. You buy and it actually adds to the total. So by doing that, it can't actually increase in value drastically. It will fluctuate, as it has, and it will make big busts because of volume and things like that. But it won't make the big moves like Bitcoin does, because Bitcoin has a set pool of coins that it shares amongst the people. And when people buy Bitcoin, they are part of that pool, and that's why the price can drastically increase. And that's why the SafeMoon was good, because every time you buy, the coins burnt. So the pool is getting smaller. The circulating supply will slowly get smaller, and that's part of the fundamentals of my analysis as to why I was thinking fairly bullish on SafeMoon. But by no means could it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end for SafeMoon, and I'm actually kind of feeling a little bit good about the holo token, or whatever you were, holo token. That's what I'd call it. I don't know the actual name. As I said, I know very, very little about it, but I could definitely see this being achievable in the next, definitely around the Easter time. Anyway, but look lads, I'd say we're going to wrap this up here. We won't leave it stretch on too much. I hope you all enjoyed this. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's one. And just before I go, if you want to drop a message to me directly on Instagram or down in the comments on this, or I think my email address is in my bio on the YouTube channel. So if you want to send me an email explaining maybe something you want to see, because I have a lot of time over the next 2 weeks, so if there's anything specifically towards cryptos you want to see, or anything specific towards forex, stocks, or if you want me to break down more kind of fundamental things, because I believe heavily in fundamentals. A lot of people say, no, there's nothing in fundamentals, it's only technical, or there's nothing in technicals, there's only fundamental. I'm very, very 50-50, but I do emphasize a lot on fundamentals. Fundamentals is big in stocks. Knowing a good bit about economies is good for the currencies, and stocks as well. If you're trading indices, ETFs, it's good to know a good bit about the fundamentals of the countries and different economies and how the economies work. Knowing, like, say you're dealing with American stocks, knowing about the Fed and the open Federal Commissions Committee, or whatever the exact name for it is, knowing all about the way things like that works, like people getting their stimulus checks and all that stuff, understanding what that means and all that kind of stuff. So if you want me to break down all that kind of stuff, or maybe going into the basics of stocks maybe a little bit, because I've been focusing very much so in the live sessions a lot on cryptos, and in the videos on forex. So if you want me to go into more kind of that kind of thing, there's no problem. Just shoot me a message in the comments, hop over onto the Instagram, or if you know me personally, Snapchat is always a good option as well. Just let me know how you think of the way these things are going. I noticed this was probably one of the more successful sessions, so thanks very much for anyone that's joined. And Jack, I haven't seen your name before, so welcome to the community, and you're very welcome here. If you have any questions, or if you have any input, definitely just drop them in the comments. Definitely like and subscribe to the channel, because as I said, if you missed the ad that I put up every week just about lunchtime on a Sunday, just informing of the live session, if you missed that, you might forget about it, or especially with the clocks. I noticed a lot of people maybe might have been in late or whatever with the clocks might have been you might have set the clock in your room and you might have thought it was an hour behind or whatever, and you might have missed the session or whatever. But this was actually a fairly successful session overall. So look, lads, I'm gonna wrap it up there now. So thanks very much for joining me in this venture. Look, lads, I'll see you during the week. I'll upload a couple of videos this week because I have a good bit of time on my hands. So look, lads, thanks very much, and I'll see you all soon. All right.